FlimsyLunchTray here with another video for you. And this video is not going to be so much a commentary on the battle here in the Iowa in domination mode on the battle map north, but more it's going to be a one-year review. A couple days ago, I believe it was on Monday, was my one-year anniversary in being a World of Warships player, if I had that correct. And I thought it was October, but I guess it was mid-September when I started playing originally. But I wanted to talk about the game in the sense of how do I feel the game has come along within 1 year since I started playing. Because granted, there's a lot of things I've missed. If you go back before 1 year, go 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago, I've missed a lot of things. However, I think there's some maybe insights on some positives, negatives, and critiques that I just want to share in this video on how I feel World of Warships, how wargaming is doing. So I guess in starting off with the pros, what was it that got me to play World of Warships? Because originally before this, I was one of those console players. Didn't really play online or anything like that. But I was needing a new desktop, and I thought, hey, well, I would like to get one that could also potentially do some gaming. As I was honestly interested in Farming Simulator, which I've not even got around to. But then I started seeing videos by the mighty Jingles, and I can honestly say he is the reason why I'm probably a World of Warships player. And watching his hilarious commentaries and just the whole, how would you say it, the personality that you get with Jingles when watching his videos. So that was probably one of the reasons, but also that I'm a big fan of naval war history. My minor in college was history, and I always tried to focus on war classes when I was able to. Like for example, I was able to take an advanced Vietnam War class when I was in college. But I've always just been drawn, especially to warships. When I was little, I actually visited the USS Alabama, and I visited the USS Alabama, which is in Mobile, Alabama. I was facing that, in Gulf Shores, and then I also later ended up visiting the LST-325 in Evansville, Indiana. So definitely check that one out as well. It's a landing ship tank transport for tanks and troops, but that has a really great story behind it. But beyond that, it was really just watching Jingle's videos, and I thought, well, why not give it a try? So, and kind of starting out with the pros, I would say I've enjoyed more the community I've found in playing World of Warships. I mean, granted, you're always going to have, those players that are more immature, so on and so forth, that yell at you in the game, but they don't understand why you're doing something that you're doing, because they just assume that you should be pushing out, getting yourself slaughtered, so on and so forth. You know who I'm talking about. But I found a very positive community. Besides that, it's probably thanks in part to being part of a clan. Originally, I just really preferred being a solo player. I was clanless. I liked it. I'd have a lot of people try to invite me to join in their clans and so on and so forth, but I kind of stayed away from it for a while with the intentions of maybe one day starting the clan, but eventually I gave in to the clan that I'm with now, with the clan leader, so I'm glad I'm in the clan that I am in now. But the community has been really good when you find a group of players to play with and have that shared experience in the game. You know, whether that's after you having a great battle or terrible battle, just being able to talk about it afterwards, that you weren't alone, whether it was a very poor or bad game or great game.
All stations.
But when I first started playing, something that I really enjoyed was the events, which being the Halloween events. I don't remember what all the words they had for it, excuse me, and what it was called. But I really liked, let's see, you'd get the, I'm trying to remember, like you'd have like teams where you'd be starting in 3 parts of the map, collecting points and just defeating the bots, and then you have to make it through the portal. And sometimes you try to set a truce with the other enemy teams that you're just there to harvest oh my gosh, what was it called? Like the toxin, the green stuff, the slime. I don't know what it's called. I don't remember. And then they end up turning on you, and then they'd all die, so no one really won.
All stations.
So
Concentrate fire on the
I
target.
did really enjoy that event a lot. Transylvania, something like that. I've really enjoyed the ranked sprints that they've had. That's been really good. In the ranked, standard ranked, it's okay, but the ranked sprint has really been something that's drawn me in. And the incentives that Wargaming does, even, I don't think, maybe we don't give them enough credit sometimes when it comes to, like for example, this past weekend they've had the 200% victory bonus. So, you know, instead of getting maybe with your signals mounted, you know, 10,000 experience or something like that, like gaining up to 19,000 experience, which I just did in my Fiji several days ago, and I'll have a video on that as well. But they also do, you know, here and there that 100%, 50%, you know, sometimes going, you know, right now it's the 5-year anniversary, making it cheaper even to redistribute the points on your captain, so on and so forth. So I think there's little things that they do that's quite nice. You know, being able to always get free camos with the experience you get each day to get resource containers, or if you're wanting to risk it and go for a super container, you know, the combat missions, you know, being able to get free captains, the campaigns, like all that stuff I think is really good, and I'm appreciative that those type of things are in the game. And the dockyards are much better now compared to the Puerto Rico and the first one, and we'll talk about that later. But the Odin, and then which I have, and I did that dockyard event, and even going through the Anchorage event right now is going relatively well. I think I'm like the 12th or 13th phase already. But yeah, but I think those things have been well. I say Wargaming learned from their experience with the first dockyard event, Puerto Rico, because there was even the community contributors were saying like, this is you're crazy if you think players will be able to get the ship for free, which I think there were some that did, but they had no life just to get a free ship versus whaling and spending a bunch of money on it. So that was something that I think Wargaming learned their lesson on in World of Warships. I mean, granted, for them in the game, it's always going to come down to a profit. If we do this as a benefit for players, how does it benefit us? They always have that bottom line and wanting to earn profit, make a sale, so on and so forth. So yeah, so I think I'll transition out of the pros and let's look at the negatives now. And this will also go into my critiques, but one of the biggest issues I have with Wargaming with World of Warships is that they're always doing new things all the time. There's new ships being cranked out at ridiculous rates, whether they're premium, they're new ships in the tech trees, it's test ships, so on and so forth. Like, there's just so much happening with that, but also with how often Wargaming does or changes with game mechanics.
Attention.
So,
Reporting
you
in
know,
target position.
in keeping with the ever so present World of Warships, the developers blog, letting us know what's going on through there and things they're testing out. They're always doing so much. Like, yeah, the Transformers event, we just had the Warhammer like 40k event. Just had the Azure Lane event. You know, we're on our third dockyard of the year already. There's wargaming is just always doing so much that it's hard to keep up with as a player. And I play almost every day now since February, March, for the most part, because for me it's most of the time it's relaxing playing World of Warships. If it's not relaxing, I'll jump into Command and Conquer Red Alert Remastered. But um, there's just, yeah, again, with there's so many new ships, when you're a player, you know, for myself that plays every day, and you're like, wait, what is this new ship? Like, does it have torpedoes? Does it have radar? Because if you're playing a destroyer or what other ship you're playing, it's so much to keep track of, and it can really sometimes make your gameplay not as fun. But I think now I'll talk about that more in a minute on my critique part. The matchmaking, I think Wargaming, they said they were going to try to address this recently, and when I say recently, like, was it like several weeks ago or a month ago, to make it more balanced. But you know, it still is terrible when you're a tier 6 ship in a tier 8 battle, you're a tier 7 in a tier 9 battle, or tier 8 a tier 10. It can really be a miserable experience. You know, it's like the holy grail when you have those matchmakings where it's just all same tier ships battling it out, you know? Or you get into other matches with random or ranked, where it's 3 cruisers on the enemy team are radar, and you only have 1 radar on your team. You know, like, that's just not helpful. Or then they end up having the Missouri battleship, so another radar you have to worry about. So I'm still not pleased. I don't know if I can say I've ever have been necessarily pleased with the balancing mechanics of matchmaking. Yeah, then you had Puerto Rico, which was an absolute dumpster fire. Like, I thought, even being a new player, I thought that was so stupid. Like, so bad. You know, CVs, which they reworked, and I think they still need to rework. Now, depending on the ship you're in, so for example, like I had a tier 8 German CV, I can't think of its name, tried to make a full attack run on me when I was in my tier 9 Seattle, and with prioritizing the side of my A defense with the defensive AA consumable, like I actually took all of the Germans, all the air squadron completely out of the air before they got to my ship. So that was nice, but again, I was up tiered. It was a tier 9 AA American cruiser against a German CV. You know, if it was a tier 8 CV taking on me on in a tier 6, say Pensacola, I'm not going to fare well. So the CVs, they're just still too strong at this point in time. I think there should be more easy to deal damage to enemy air squadrons, especially for other ships that struggle much more than the American cruisers do. You know, and with, you know, when they're doing so much, like Wargaming can barely keep up with themselves sometimes. You know, we've seen that multiple times thus far, like with the Azure Lane Alitoria, if I pronounce that one right. There's gonna be a new Italian battleship based off of the Azure Lane anime game, and it ended up being an exact copy of the battleship Roma. So there was nothing new they offered there. They had a timeline to meet, and Wargaming missed it because they were just always doing so much. And as another positive, hats off to the art team, if is that how you say it, the art department, because they're just killing it. They're doing such a great job. As far as critiques, so I'll make sure I get this in the video, is coming back to that Wargaming needs to slow down. Like, they literally just need to take a break and work on things that are already existing within the game now. They're doing so much that it's making some things, I would say, worse. I don't see much what Wargaming's doing right now is actually improving the gameplay. I think this summer was just terrible. I mean, You had community contributors, you had other players. There's been several community contributors who've already left the game, but there's a lot of talk this mid to late summer
Thank you.
of just encouraging players to hey, we should just take a break, not play as much. There were clans that weren't even participating in one of the recent ranked seasons. The ranked sprint, the recent one, was very refreshing. It was very good, but they're just wargaming. Literally, if there's anyone from wargaming watching this video, which I don't expect there to be, but slow down, take a break, work on things when it comes to balancing, matchmaking, the CVs. Work on improving things that are already in the game. I think, I, as a player, would not mind if there was you came out in the press release or something, said, hey, we're not gonna do any huge new updates. They changed the game mechanic, gameplay for the next 3 months. We're just gonna work on address players' concerns and issues within the game. I think that'd be fantastic. I like playing the game right now, but it's nothing's gonna drive me away. But there's just always, wargaming's just always doing so much, it's hard to keep up with. The training, there needs to be some sort of training center, training tutorial for new players. When you're a new player in the game, I think, there's been multiple community contributors that pointed this out, multiple players, where if you just you buy a premium ship, you play the premium ship for 50, 100 games, whatever, so you make a bunch of free experience, credits, you've earned camos, so on and so forth. You can just move up so quickly. You go to tier 1, 2 cruiser, and you can, or just any ship in the game, and you can just work up so quickly, and eventually getting up to tier 10. I'm playing at tier 10, and I see still players all the time, whether they're in premium or not, that are just doing the most ridiculous things, of showing broadside, just if they played, there was a tutorial that said, hey, try not to show broadside so much when you're in a cruiser. What this Dawn Sky is doing behind me. Just a tutorial that helps players understand the mechanics of CVs, battleships, cruisers, destroyers, and understanding more of their role and how to play these ships. That would be great. Yeah, and I kind of talked about that there just needs to be a CV, we work again 2.0, and I think there needs to be wargaming. World of Warships needs to prioritize existing players and not just focusing on trying to get new players to play the game all the time. Granted, they tend to make a lot of money when there's new players joining the game, spending their money, buying premium ships, so on and so forth. But you're losing out on an audience, a dedicated player group that would invest in the game long term rather than just taking and leaving it. Jingles had a video, today, on a player who came back after 4 years. So, wargaming, can you figure out why these players are taking years before they even come back into the game, or take these months break off? You would have more of a dedicated player base if you focused and prioritized working with community contributors. I think I was reading something that Wargaming shared that we do listen to our community contributors, which just made me laugh when it comes to balance and so on and so forth. They're talking about bringing Kitakami back into the game, which I think is terrible. A light cruiser that has 40 torpedoes that was originally responsible for most of the team damage when it was previously in the game. If it comes out, I might actually consider buying it just for the lulz and making fun of YouTube videos, but it's wow. And then with the going forward aspect, leave some, if you do introduce submarines, please, wargaming, leave it as its own battle option. Leave it as submarine battle option. Do not bring submarines into random battles and co-op battles. Just leave it as its own. But overall, I've enjoyed my experience so far with World of Warships. Of course, there's always things they can work on, but I think it would really help wargaming if they would just slow down and work on things already existing in the game. So if you liked the video, please leave a comment, and I will show post-battle results here as well.
Enemy battleship sunk.
So like I was saying, if wargaming would just take a break and slow down and not do a bunch of different changes, all these new development blog updates that they're considering throwing into the game, just take a break for 2 or 3 months and just focus on the existing game that they have, because they have a great um, platform that they can do so much with and even so much more. But if they'd really just focus on slowing down, prioritizing current players, reworking the CVs, um, taking a look at matchmaking mechanics, um, I think wargaming would really be onto something that I think that existing players would already appreciate, but also future players of the game, and that there wouldn't be so many current clans, players, taking these month-long breaks that just get so burned out with everything that wargaming is doing in World of Warships. So I hope that is something it'd be nice to see. Will we actually see it? Probably not. I don't see wargaming just slowing down and reworking things. I mean, the more things they continue to pump out, the larger their profit margins are. Sadly, it's like it's the name of the game. It ends up being the bottom line. Like, how can we make the biggest profit? But I think it would really show maturity, I guess is the word I want to use, professionalism by World of Warships wargaming, if they would slow down and just rework on focusing how to make the existing game even better, um, but listening to their community contributors and listening to the players, not just going out doing these random things that make no sense at all. So I will be having a new microphone set up by next week is the goal. Hopefully by Monday's video, if not Wednesday's video next week, we'll be able to use a new microphone setup. So continuing to work on improving the channel, especially when it comes to the audio factor. So if you have any comments you'd like to share, please post below in the comment section. Leave a like if you liked it, dislike if you didn't like the video. And then also, I'd be interested in hearing your thoughts. What are some pros in your mind that wargaming's doing in World of Warships? What are those negatives? What are your critiques? I mean, it's always easy to focus on the negatives, but I think there are some things that wargaming does within World of Warships that are positive. They might be slight, small, shining lights compared to the larger dark areas that I think as players would want more gaming to work on. But what are those positives that bring you back to keep playing World of Warships? So until next time, take care.